So we don't need to spend too much time making a table. All it is going to be somewhere where I can drop the PIR on, bang it against a sort of fence if you like, and pass my saw straight down it without any measuring. It will just happen. It'll put it in, push the saw down, move it up, push the saw down, and I'll end up with 3 equal bits. So it's what we need is effectively 2 strips of platform, if you like, because the saw needs to cut down the middle here, and because the blades are 240 millimeters long, obviously we need to make sure it can pass through. So our frame will be slightly longer but connected at the end here to allow the saw to start, cut all the way through and come out the other end. We'll also have an upstand on the side, so when we push our PIR board in here, we cut through there, it gives us the strip. We push it in again, we cut through and we get the other 2 strips. So I'll just go through that again. If this was the sheet of PIR, all we've got is 2 rips to give us 3 equal slabs. Once we've taped them with the Gapo tape, they'll be exactly the right measurement to fit between our rafters without losing that strip, that offcut from the edge. Okay, we've got our long studs. What we want to create is a table which will do. So we want to go, let's mark these up together. So we're going to cut one of them at 403, so we can have our gap. We have our gap at 500. We want a stud at 400. We want one at 600, and we want one there. And that's it. That gives us our cutting gap here, which is roughly 1/3 when we add on a fence. Okay, so I'll mark those studs up where they're going to be. This is just so when we go and fix them. Okay. Right, take your one down the other end. I'll just mark the fronts for you. That's where your timbers are going, all right? Okay, so keep it in that direction. I'll start with the studs we like best, which the straightish ones. Okay, put him in the middle. Yeah? Yep. I'll just give that a spike my end. Yep. There you go, mate. This one.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's fine. Just keep it upright. Grab your next timber and get it ready.
Yeah.
Which way are we going? That way, yeah. Bow up, yeah?
Yeah.
Just support it and against mine. Yeah?
Yeah.
I'll do mine first and you'll twist yours second, yeah?
Sweet.
Yep. Fingers.
Yeah.
Sheet of OSB we'll get between us in a minute. Right, we're going to put it on top.
Yeah.
And we're going to have equally spaced between the ends of the frame. Flush with the side because it's the same width as your frame. Yeah. And we're going to have the same amount either end. What have you got, Ed?
I've got 270.
So I've got 180, so 45 mil to you. Let me just mark it first and then I'll move it. What you got now?
225.
Yeah, fine. Right, just going to square one side up, this side, flush with that bit of timber. Yeah?
Yep.
Right, let's get a screw in there. Lovely. Got a few, haven't we, yeah? Now we know this board of OSB is going to be good, don't we? So we know it's going to be square. That'll form the basis of everything. But we don't need masses of fixings in it. Just enough to hold it, and then we will have. Okay. So the idea is we're going to have a fence on here. We're going to put the sheet against. We're going to rip it all the way through. But before we do that, we need to break out a gap down the middle here for the saw to go up every time. And the other thing we're doing as well is because the odd piece is more than what we're looking for, we can then cut it from this side. We'll do those manually. We'll put them in. But we'll just straighten this side up now. Got about 3 or 4 mil here, so we're just going to keep that. In fact, let's square the frame up while we can. So to do that, we just want to make sure we've got exactly the same amount there, 225. So I just want to tap it to you a little bit there.
Not less, thank you.
Knock back, yeah?
Yeah.
That is. Yeah,
Yeah, lovely.
good there.
Yeah, man.
So the frame's underneath is square as well. Now, not critical, but I think if you've got it somewhere near it, you're laughing, aren't you?
Half the battle.
Yeah. All right, if you just sight that one through for me, Ed, tell me if it's straight.
Yeah, the middle can come out to your touch, mate. Yeah, lovely.
Okay, now we just want to ping a line down for those other ones.
Straight edge or
Straight edge is better, yeah. So we haven't got any marks on it. Yeah, down the middle of it. We just screw against it, yeah?
Okay.
One. Okay. Don't need that many in it. Just enough to stiffen it all up. Yes.
So again.
Yeah. Well, what we want to do is now make sure that this bit of frame and this bit of frame, they can't move at all once we've cut it, okay? Because what we're going to do is cut this so it's separate, and we're just going to have a groove down the middle, and it only really needs to be the width of the blade, so we can just run our saw straight down the middle, clamp to here. Maybe we'll just give it a 1/4 of an inch or so. And what we'll do is we'll clamp that on parallel. In fact, if we allow 6 mil, so we'll do 2 rips, all right? 200 there, so we want to be, say, 90 either way. That'll give us 95. Give us a decent bit, won't it? bit of breathing space, yeah? All right, lovely job. I'll cut that one first. Cut this one first. Great. Right, great. Now we've got our table. Yeah, so if I give you a distance off here, which is 100, yeah? That one. These ones go together here. Okay, so what we're going to do is, because we want them to be a bit taller, we just need to put something in between them and then screw them all through. At the other end, before we straighten the middle up. That's it. These blocks. So it's tall enough to take the PIR, yeah?
Yeah.
I'll just move this stuff off. Right, okay, so that's going to push in, hit that, nice and gentle, and then bang. Move it across, bang, yeah? So that is the table. All right, so we'll do the ISC240 straight down there, out the way, next one. But in the meantime, we need to make up our box for cutting the jacks. So the tools of the trade, as far as I'm concerned, with PIR, I use the Festool ISC240. This is a great tool once you've got the hang of it. It's like a big jigsaw, but it's got a very stiff riving knife on the bottom, which enables that blade to stay nice and straight and fairly square. Then what we've got is we can use it with the rail. So where we're doing our big rips, we pull our sheets from the stock there, we pop them into this frame that we made, into the cutting table that we made. We use the long rail, and for most of the insulation here, they're all exactly the same size, and I'm getting 3 rips from a board. We drop the board in, we put our long rail against these 2 nails here, like that, and then we hook the saw into that part of the rail, and it cuts all the way through there and gives us our cut. Now that's fine for straightforward rips, and if we've got any tapered rips, well then we just mark them, use the rail, and cut through them. But we've got a lot of angled cuts, for example, on the ridge, the wall plate and the valley. So these two pieces here are going to go from the valley to the ridge and in between rafters. So we've got a compound cut on the bottom, which is where it fits against the valley, like this. And then we've got the ridge at the top. So we made a box here, a simple box here, which is effectively a pair of rafters, and this is the splay cut, which is the compound cut. And what happens is we slide our PIR in using the saw. We've got a small channel, a small timber, which this hooks onto here, vacuum attached, and then we run it straight the way through. And it gives us a perfect compound cut, the same every time. And what else we do is when we cut one, we immediately get the cut, which will do its opposite. So we're only cutting once to get two, which is similar to how I pitch a roof, how I cut a roof when I'm cutting rafters. Then for the plumb cut on the end, another simple device. It's just a piece of packaging MDF that we found here. And what we've got is, if I just pull this over here like this, so that goes onto a board like that. You mark the length like a Festool rail effectively, but it's a Robin Clevett type. And that gives us the angle. You can make it up to any angle, of course. This just happens to be the angle of our roof at the top, the plumb cut. And then the saw runs all the way across to give us that cut. And the same obviously for the bottom. So we've got, that does our plumb cut, seat cuts. That does our compound cuts. And then we've got another one which is just for regular cross cuts. You can use a rail, but what I've got is I've got another one which, the trouble with a rail, if you're using a rail to do your cross cuts on the PIR, they skate around. Now even though they've got the rubbers on the bottom, it's a dusty product and it skates around. By using this, that is the line I'm cutting. That's where my saw goes over. I've got a section of batten here, which means I can put that on, hold it, it's nice and square, and run the saw across to the pencil mark. So it works really nicely. So those devices, cross cut, angled cross cut, compound cut, and then the table, is what makes the job perfect. It's what makes the job simple. And we've got a lot of PIR to get through, something like 60 sheets. If you divide that by 3 or times that by 3, it's 180 pieces. And then each one is a combination of top cuts, bottom cuts and splay cuts. So that's what I do. Probably spend about half a day making the table, making the box, making these two items, but I will probably save 2 or 3 days from all this measuring, marking and the inaccuracy of it as well.